We're back with Brandon Weichert. I wanted to get him on because of everything that's been going on in the last, 48 hours. But Brandon, thanks for coming on. I know I pulled you out of something, but I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
I have my take, but I want to hear yours. What's going on the strike?
Well, I think President Trump thinks this is over. That seems to be what his statements indicated, and he sort of forced J.D. Vance and Hegseth, who apparently were very skeptical about doing this strike, to stand with Rubio last night during the speech. But I got news for him, as I've been saying since the start of this whole crisis. It's the Middle East, Mr. President. It's geopolitical quicksand. Once you're in it, you ain't getting out. And so, in my view, and they're already talking 12 hours after the strike, you're already seeing the Israelis saying that you're going to have to go in now and hit more targets. Our military, apparently told the New York Times about a couple hours ago, there's deep skepticism that the facility at Fordo was in fact destroyed. It was degraded. That's the term. If you pay attention to the news, what's going on, they're using that term degraded. It's a very specific term, meaning it wasn't all destroyed. So, this is not ending anytime soon. And in fact, it looks like the Iranians are now deciding they're not going to go kinetic on us, not directly. They're still popping off missiles at Israel. Israel's losing their Iron Dome ammunition faster than they can replace it. But the Iranians, I think at the behest of the Russians, are getting ready to close the Strait of Hormuz. And that is going to be economically destructive to President Donald Trump's political agenda. It will destroy his presidency for the foreseeable future. And it's going to be utterly destructive to people like me who need lower prices of gas to keep our families going. So it's going to be very dangerous economically for the American middle class for the next probably 6 months.
Yeah, I interviewed Ed Dowd, a former BlackRock portfolio manager.
I know Ed. Yeah.
This week, and he said the big risk is, it's like not even a risk, it's going to happen, is an oil shock, which is going to shut down anything in the U.S. And and you hit it on the head. I mean, there's an old saying: if you shoot at the enemy, they get to shoot back.
That's right.
And that's what's going to happen here. And there's we're going to start highlighting General Kurilla, who is very tight with the Israelis and the Netanyahu, and he's been over there like banging the war drums, big smile on his face, looking at the match. I mean, telling Trump to put all our forces in, and don't worry about China because they're not going to do anything. And it's just, I mean, we are so exposed right now.
Well, yeah. I can honestly say I said this to somebody on Twitter in the last week. It might have been somebody from the American Conservative. I might have even been Kurt Mills. I don't remember, but I tweeted at them. I said, we haven't had a noteworthy commander of CENTCOM maybe ever. Not probably, at least since Schwarzkopf rather, in Desert Storm. There's just no, the CENTCOM's a mess. And Kurilla is this, he's on his last tour as CENTCOM CO. The Israelis needed to do this now because they couldn't guarantee that Trump would put somebody like Kurilla in, who is so intimately involved and integrated with the Israeli Defense Force. And I mean, Kurilla really is more like a co-general, both U.S. military as well as IDF. And so exactly. this was the writing was on the wall. But here's the thing: I want people to really understand the wider geopolitical context here. If what I am getting from my Russian sources is true, the Iranians, the first people they turned to after this attack were the Russians.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the Russians very much are coordinating the response. The Russians, my understanding is the Russians have told the Iranians, do not go kinetic against the Americans. It's just going to spark a wider, you don't want that. We're going to squeeze them economically. We're using the new art of warfare, the 21st century, which is geoeconomics rather than geopolitics. So the Russians need the price of oil to spike indefinitely. This is what's going to fuel
them. It's big money.
Yes, that's right. Furthermore, get this. This is not being widely reported. Iran depends. I'm sorry. China depends on Iranian oil and natural gas. These Strait of Hormuz closures are going to drastically disrupt oil flows from Iran to China.
Interesting.
The Russians know this, but yet the Russians are telling the Iranians to do this. And that's because I am convinced the Russians are making a power play, not just against the United States, but they're making a power play against China. They want to make China become more dependent on Russian energy exports than they already are. By cutting off Iran's sources to China, the Chinese will be forced to pivot and go to Moscow with hat in hand, and it will disrupt the view in Beijing that Russia is the junior partner to China. That's going to change real fast. So Russia's playing this thing brilliantly. And for those who are worried about Ukraine, well, kiss Ukraine goodbye, because the Americans are now all in on Iran. It ain't ending anytime soon. And the Russians are getting ready to go in balls to wall against Kyiv. And there's nothing NATO can do.
And we don't have the industrial base for this to go on very long, and we're very
we
low
can't
on
even
weapons stores.
resupply
That's a
Iron
whole
Dome. That's right. We
Yeah, I
can't
know.
even
So
resupply
it's
Iron Dome.
really,
Yeah.
I mean, the decision-making process here is, I'm to the point where I just don't know. They're obviously not trying to make good decisions. So what are they trying to do? I mean, I'm going conspiratorial here. What are they trying to do?
Well, I tell you right now what's going on. Donald Trump is ultimately a product of his generation. He is your typical boomer. If you look at the cross section of people calling for and supporting this, yes, it's majority Israelis, but specifically it is, or Jewish Americans as well, but specifically it is a cross section of baby boomers. This is like a boomer delight, this war. Nobody under the age of 40 supports this conflict at all. And, Trump just neutered J.D. Vance's chances at being president as well. If you look at what the decision-making process is, it's very simple to see. Because of Trump's natural boomer sort of predilections, he has basically been injecting Fox News directly into his veins for the last several weeks. And he's wanted Fox News approval for years. Remember, Rupert Murdoch turned on him bigly. And this is sort of one of the ways that Trump is getting really good press for the first time in years from Fox, and he's loving it. And he feels like he's back in the club again. And they're happy to let him think that, because they're getting what they want. They wanted their Middle East war. They got it. And then he's also listening to Susie Wiles, the White House chief of staff, and Marco Rubio and Mark Levin. Those are his people that he's listening to. He's cut out Tulsi Gabbard. He's cut out Pete Hegseth is basically a junior player here. And now J.D. Vance, my prediction is going to now be permanently marginalized. So this is the rise of the boomer cons. They're taken back. And that's the decision-making process. That's their inputs.
That's really good insight. Interesting. I hadn't thought of that, but I got to spend some time, and I'm just going to sit and watch what happens, but we got to channel the energy somewhere different. I mean, it's got to be focused. This MAGA energy has got to be refocused in a good way, and I'm just concerned about that.
Oh, it's over. No, it's over. And the MAGA is going the way of the Tea Party. The establishment has managed to take on the energy and to redirect it, misdirect it to where it shouldn't be going. I'm already seeing, I would argue at least half of MAGA is out. Trump also, by the way, this all started.
So where do they go, though? Where does that go?
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
If you haven't noticed, gold has reached a new high, all-time highs actually, and keeps going up every day. Why is that? It's because precious metals are a long-time historical store of value. And if you own a portfolio and you have assets in the fiat currencies, i.e. stocks, bonds, cash, or whatever, you're vulnerable to hyperinflation, which is coming as our debt explodes another trillion every 90 days. It's really scary. So how do you protect yourself? Go to Advisor Metals. If you look on any of our CDM.press sites, about halfway down, there's an ad for Advisor Metals. Click on it, fill out the form for your contact info, and Igor Bishotsky will contact you and talk to you. It's an easy conversation. There's no sales pitch. He's completely verified by us. He has a regulatory background we've checked into. We've checked with his bankers. We've checked with his IRA custodians for metals, and we can highly recommend Advisor Metals and ERA. So go to Advisor Metals. If you call them directly, tell them we sent you at CDM, and he'll definitely take care of you. But protect your portfolio because you really need to. It's coming. Thank you.
I think most of them are going to check out of politics. I think this is it. I think that this is it. And you can't blame them because really there is no difference now between Trump and Obama and Bush in terms of their willingness to get involved militarily in very unpopular Middle East wars that don't really benefit the United States. I would say that, I would hope that we could channel MAGA into local and state races. That would be the place to do it. But ultimately, the Republican Party.
They're blocking those too. I mean, we just had
Yes, they are. In fact, in many cases, I live in Florida and I'm involved locally here. In many cases, the state parties are more corrupt than the national parties. So, and certainly the local party precincts and everything. So my point is, though, my prediction is if this keeps going the way I think it is, and I hope I'm wrong, but it looks like to me the MAGA movement dissipates. There's no real place for it to go. The Republican Party goes back to being the beautiful losers, and the Democrats are eventually just going to reclaim power by default. It's already kind of lining up that way. You're seeing now people really positively responding to Bernie Sanders and AOC in ways that they weren't 2 weeks ago. That's going to set up well for the 2026 midterms. They're already laying the groundwork for, impeachments of Trump and going after Trump the way they did after the 2018 midterms when Democrats got back power in Trump's first term. And also 2028, I have it on very good authority that Perkins Coie and all these Democrat law firms with deep state connections, they've been quietly building an arsenal of lawsuits that will have potentially criminal implications for Donald Trump and his top people once they're out of office in 2029. So the Democrats are preparing, and I think they know which way the wind is blowing, and they're just going to go with the flow and follow the crowd and let Trump implode himself. And that's what's happening, is the implosion is before our eyes.
I heard another very worrying thing, and I forget who it was. Somebody started talking about Pakistan. Well, Pakistan has nukes, and maybe we need to take them out too.
That's the Israelis.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Israelis are saying that. The Israelis are saying we need to go after Turkey. I would agree. The biggest threat to Israel is not Iran or Pakistan. It's Turkey. I've been saying that for over 2 years now. But, they're good luck. The problem is this. Israel, even if it can manage to survive this onslaught that's coming their way with these Iranian missiles, the problem now is, as you noted, the logistics supply chain is not amenable to Israel in a long war. They can't keep their Iron Dome and all the other systems resupplied. We can't keep them resupplied because our defense industrial base is broken. And the Israelis are running out of missiles. The prediction is at this rate, at 30% losses in accuracy a day, it looks like probably middle of next week, if trends persist, Israel will be down to its last bare bones of ammunition for the Iron Dome system. And every iteration of these attacks, the Iranians keep sending more missiles in number and more sophisticated and lethal missiles, which indicates to me the Persians have a plan.
I was heard that there was MERV technology on some of these missiles.
Yes. Yeah. The MRBM, it's the Sharamgar, I think, 4. I might be saying it wrong, but I wrote about it recently at the National Interest. It's a medium-range ballistic missile with MERV capability. I think it has like 80 to 100 warheads on it. It's an insane number of warheads. It can be, and submunitions. It's also got decoy capabilities. It's a really wild piece of technology. I'm sure the Russians helped them out with it. But the point is that they're starting to pop those things off. Look, you look at the number of Israelis who are fleeing Israel right now. It's a lot more than what Israeli media is saying. Iranians are fleeing Iran too, no doubt. But the concern is, Iran is a nation of 92 million people. Israel's a nation of 6 million people. So, their numbers are not conducive to a long war of the kind we're seeing, which is why already Netanyahu is saying that the Americans are going to have to come back in and do more strikes. In fact, Some of the people I know who are close to Netanyahu are saying the Americans are going to have to deploy troops in limited numbers to physically confiscate the loose uranium that's in Iran.
I've heard that too. I mean, so if Trump came out, I mean, I guess the question is there a way out of this? If Trump came out and said, we're done, this is all we're going to do. We've destroyed that site for them and that's it. We're going to focus on America. Would that be a way out?
Absolutely, but so far the forces are still in place, and Trump can't be seen as weak now. And I guarantee you, if it gets out fully that these strikes were a dud, and the Iranians are still doing stuff to complicate our lives, which they are going to, and the Israelis keep poking Iran, which they will. Trump is going to find himself in the quicksand situation where he can't get out. Because his advisors certainly aren't going to tell him to get out. He's surrounded by a bunch of neocons. I also predict Tulsi Gabbard will be out of a job in the next few weeks to a month or so.
Yeah, that's obvious. I mean, they successful getting her out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, she was in the room yesterday in the Situation Room, but she was the only advisor there not photographed. So that should tell you how out of favor she is with the court of Trump. And my prediction has been that Pete Hegseth will be gone by September. And I think that Vance will continue on in a marginalized form because he opposed this so vocally. They'll keep him around because he's the Veep, and Trump's not going to want to deal with getting rid of the Veep, but he's going to marginalize him. He already doesn't have a large staff, Vance. He's already been kind of contained. Trump is not going to help Vance because Trump doesn't like anybody competing for the ring after him. So this is, that side of the right wing is going to be contained and demoralized and defeated ultimately, not by the left, but by Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Brandon, thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to get out? I know you don't. You're busy.
I would just say there's a set of stories coming out from insiders that I know in China. I can't confirm it, but the rumor is that Xi Jinping of China has been deposed and that he is actually sort of a zombie president right now. They're keeping him in as a figurehead, but the agreement that he has made, and this is all unconfirmed, but the agreement he has made with the rising reformist wing of the CCP is he will stay in office until sometime between August and November, and then he will announce that he is leaving and his family and him will no longer be in power and they will be allowed to leave office without being killed or arrested. And Wang Yi, the current foreign minister, will ascend and become the new president of China. And so that is what I'm hearing. I don't have any ability to prove.
What's his focus? I mean, what is he as maniacal as maniacal?
No. This is a fight between the old Mao type ideologues of that Xi Jinping represents and the more Deng Xiaoping pragmatic. They're all still communists, of course. They all don't want like America, but it's the reformist groups as led by Hu Jintao and Wen Jiabao, the former president of China, as well as the former vice premier of China, Wen Jiabao. They are very much of the Deng Xiaoping school, so they very much want to reset relations with the U.S. They want more stable, amenable relations with their partners around the world, with their neighbors rather. And this also means, by the way, if they get in, Taiwan invasion is off the table. So we might avoid that big one simply because of the internal politics. And that's it.
Amazing. Brandon, thanks for your time, my friend. Always love it.
Sir.
And we'll see you.